you're banking on the fact that Dave Chappelle is a big enough draw that how he's going to help you is going to be outweigh whatever the detractors might be from this
Yeah.
Chappelle. What I'm saying is, with that in concert with you raising prices, I don't know. Is that going to help out as much as you think it's gonna help out? You know?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, again, just like Kanye, dropped it at the right time.
But we say all that to say, it was just announced last week that a streaming service actually pronounced some pretty big news concerning a one David Chappelle. It was announced that he will be doing 4 more specials. For Netflix. Now, this is interesting for a number of reasons. One, they're not technically his specials. He's just hosting the specials. So they're specials for other comics, but he's just, I guess, like introducing them. But in my opinion, that's actually even more bold by Netflix, given, everybody knows sort of the situation that is laid out with Chappelle. He's in his last special, the closer. A lot of people, or there were some people who deemed his comments as transphobic, and he had a lot of issues with the transgender community thereafter, and it is not. The kitchen has not gotten cool. It's gotten only hotter in the kitchen for Chappelle. But to me, that's what makes this move all the much more strange for Netflix, because they did Ted Sarotos, or I think whoever the head up at Netflix is, he came out with a statement and said, like, hey, they're sorry about how they handled this whole Dave Chappelle thing and yada yada, and there was like walkouts of Netflix, and people were protesting and all this other stuff. But that makes this much more curious, because it's like, well, you're not even getting Chappelle stand-ups. You're getting him introducing other people. So like, he doesn't even need to do it, but you're kind of doing it. And the implication is as a very direct fuck you to anybody who's like, I'll quit. And you're like, hey, we're going to do these specials. Chappelle doesn't need to be a part of it, but we're going to make him a part of it just out of his spite, listen, because we can.
When DJ Khaled drops an album, do I want to hear Khaled rap? No, I want to hear all the songs and all the features and what artists are going to be on it. I came for like just good music, right? So with these upcoming Netflix specials, right? Do I hope to see some of Chappelle? Sure. But like, if what they're doing is like using the Chappelle name and the brand, and like, he, as well as, and I think several producers who are going to be putting these things together. So it's going to be, I was just reading, it was like Chappelle's, Go-To Helmer, Stan Lathan, executive produced by Chappelle, Lathan, Earthquake, Ricky Hughes, and Jermaine Smith. So those are all the people who are going to be like working on the production behind this thing, right? But as long as it's got Chappelle's name on it, it's going to bring in a crowd, it's going to bring in a draw. I'm hoping the Chappelle behind it is going to be like, hey, this is like really good quality, authentic comedy. As long as I get that, I don't give a fuck. And I love the CEO's his comments here. So CEO Ted Sanderos, in an interview, he it said, I'll read the excerpt. Still, Sanderos backed the program as consistent with our comedy offering. It's consistent with Chappelle's comedy brand, and this is one of those times when there's something that you're not going to like on Netflix, in short, right? And I like that is like the most eloquent fuck you. I mean, I don't care. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. This is going to be one of those times in your life when you don't love everything on our network, just like HBO's gone through this. Every network has gone through a time where there's a show on there that's like stirring the pot, or there's like a actor or actress or whatever it may be, Bill Murray on HBO. Not everybody liked that show, but they're not going to cancel that shit. Joe Rogan on Spotify. Not everyone likes Joe Rogan. They're not canceling it because there's a lot of people who love it, and those people who love it are going to stay for the thing. So I appreciate them just being like, yo, we understand that his comedy is not for everybody. We understand that some people might be offended, but like, there's a lot more people who want more of it, and we're going to give it to them.
Yeah. I think that is kind of a short-sighted way of looking at things. Now, I say that because so Netflix is in a weird position where they just need to crank out new content, and they need to go with whatever the hot hand is. And clearly, for better or for worse, their hot hand is Dave Chappelle. That even before all this, and he's had a situation with the transgender community for what feels like forever now. But even before all that, he was hot in these streets. Dave Chappelle's always been a hot commodity, at least post Chappelle show, and so Netflix is essentially saying with this move, yeah, we just don't really give a fuck. We just want to put out content that people want to watch, and clearly he's a person. These aren't even his specials, but we're going to have him involved in order to steal from his likeliness so that we can draw people in. The reason why that's short sighted though is because Netflix just like raised their prices for the streaming platform, and they're not really putting out original content at like good original content at that good of a pace to really be fucking with people, right? So I think the combination of all that, if you would have told me this like 3-4 years ago, I'd have been like, no, they're fine, whatever, they'll survive anything. But right now that they have other competition that's raising their game too, the fact that they have other, not even just other streaming platforms, but just other content, period. You got TikTok, you've got YouTube, you've got whatever other fucking thing out there that's stealing people's attention, right? So you have to work with all that, right? You have to maintain home base, and this type of move that's a direct fuck you. Whether you believe whether they're saying that some people consider Dave Chappelle to be transphobic, whether you believe he is or not. What's inarguable is that he's clearly got some issues with the transgender community, right? So it's like, well, you didn't need to do this, but you did anyways. So it's just like, well, do you really want to do that? You really want to risk it right now?
Yo, I don't know. I'm looking at all the heat Netflix has coming this year alone. I feel like Netflix is in a position to be like, yo, kind of like what Nike did with Colin Kaepernick, right? Where it's like, yo, we're backing this guy. And we know, and granted, this is very different situations, but Nike's like, we're backing this guy, right? And if we lose 1 million of you, if we lose 2 million of you, 3-4 million of you, fuck you. We don't need you, because the people who are going to stay and support us, they're the customers we want anyway. So Netflix is like, yo, if you don't like Dave Chappelle and his brand of comedy, they're not saying fuck you to like the LGBTQ community. They're just saying like
they are, even though I don't believe that Dave Chappelle is transphobic.
I don't believe that. I don't believe the CEO is.
No, I don't know. I don't know who the fuck the CEO is. I mean, I know who he is, but I don't know where he fucking lies personally. But I don't
believe Netflix as a company is against trans people.
No, and it'd be pretty fucking stupid if they were. Like, you'd just be cutting out a decent sized portion of your audience for no discernible reason other than you just want to be a dick. But I'm not unaware of the effects of, like, he Dave Chappelle still hasn't made up with the transgender community, so it's not like things got cleared up and we're like, all right, or we're coming back with this backswing. It's like everything's still pretty fucking messy, and you're like, well, he doesn't need to be a part of this thing, but we're definitely going to make him a part of this thing. I feel like that's a weird move. Again, if shit wasn't so hot in the kitchen right now with all the competition, and if they didn't just, like, I just got a message today that said they're going to raise the price of Netflix. At what point does a certain amount of your audience who's kind of who was on the fence anyways of like, maybe I should just go ahead and cancel that, sees this, and if this is an issue that they care about, it's just like, yeah, you're right. I don't have to be here, so I'm not going to be here.
Sure. I mean, and I don't know the math, but like, let's say, you raise the prices $2 per month, right? And then like you lose 2.5 million users. But like, how much do you stand to gain from retaining whatever users did at that higher rate?
It's a numbers game at that point. But I guess what I'm saying is it feels like you're kind of adding to your stress a little bit there, and it's a gamble, because I'm saying you're banking on the fact that Dave Chappelle is a big enough draw that how he's going to help you is going to be outweigh whatever the detractors might be from you doing this with Dave Chappelle. What I'm saying is, with that in concert with you raising prices, I don't know. Is that going to help out as much as you think it's gonna help out? You know?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like again, just like Kanye dropped it at the right time. They announced this at the right time, right? Because they're like, oh, we're raising prices. Have you seen the Tinder Swindler? Have you seen that? Have you seen Inventing Anna? We got season 4, or is it season 4 of Stranger Things coming out?
Yes, yeah, season 4.
We've got more Chappelle coming. We've got
but it's not Chappelle. He'll be on stage saying, "Hey, here's this other person."
Top Island coming, or Top Boy. We've got more UK Love Island. No, I'm sorry, that was on Hulu. Anyway,
got him.
got me on that one. I was on a roll there. But I do feel like Netflix has enough to be able to justify why users should stay with their network, and maybe the price raise isn't justified.
I'll be honest,
but there's so much content. I'm looking at the shit for 2022.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Personally, for me, not just like whatever the top 10 list is on Netflix right now, but personally for me, the only shows that I was really like looking forward to is Ozark and Stranger Things, so I can say I watched it. Not because I really have any genuine interest in it, but just because I'm like, all right, yeah, I watched season 4 of Stranger Things. But honestly, I don't really give a shit about Stranger Things anymore. There's not really anything else I'm looking for.
In terms of like shows or movies?
Both. What movie are they coming out with? And I'm like, I gotta really see
The Rock's Red Notice broke records. Then like Inventing Anna broke those records.
Don't give a shit about
You've
Inventing
got
Anna.
Fucking Ryan Reynolds. He's coming with the Adam Project. Then you've got a Red Notice 2 is coming out.
The only one might be Knives Out, but that's a couple years away from the sequel.
Knives Out 2 is coming. Is that
2 and 3. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. The Witcher.
Nope, no interest.
It was pretty good. Have you seen? Did you see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, the new one?
No.
Yeah.
Scary.
Scary that there were like adults who greenlit this project. Like, it makes me nervous that there are people out there who are like, this is a good decision, when like we all know it's not, and it's like those people might be the people like around your kids. You know what I mean? Oh God.
Yeah. But anyways, to wrap this up with Chappelle, I personally don't believe that this was a great move on Netflix's part. But only time will tell if it was a good move or not. It's a gamble nonetheless, regardless of how you feel it, whether you like Chappelle, don't like Chappelle, yada yada. It's definitely a fucking gamble. Who knows if it pays off, because they're not even, once I think people find out that these aren't actual Dave Chappelle specials, I think that there's going to be a bit of, ooh.
No, not really. I mean, like when you watched Chris Rock presents Def Comedy Jam, or Martin Lawrence.
I also didn't watch that as well.
Yeah, or a couple, I think it was like a year ago, fucking Kevin Hart did the same thing.
What my argument is that with Chappelle being Chappelle right now, if you said that there are 4 more Chappelle specials, I'd be like, okay, that's interesting, and that could move the needle a little bit. But if you're like, Chappelle's going to be there to introduce these other people, I'm like, why the fuck am I here?
Doesn't he have 2 of his own specials coming where he's doing stand up, and then he's presenting, and then there's gonna be like 2 other comedy specials where he's just like producing? No,
I couldn't be made wrong about this.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he has.
The streamer announced Friday the release of 4 more upcoming comedy specials, executive produced and hosted by the controversial comic. The series of specials is dubbed Chappelle's Home Team, and each will feature a different comic introduced by Chappelle. So it doesn't seem like it.
I thought he was doing 2 more standalone stand-up specials himself. I don't give a fuck.
Here. Yeah.
Is it funny? Cool. Is Chappelle's name on it? No problem. Cool with me. I guarantee you. Only like
you didn't know where you're going with that.
No, I'm just saying.
Vibing.
It's cool with me. Listen, I guarantee you, only like, let's say Netflix loses 50% of the LGBTQ community due to like this decision. I don't think their pockets are going to be hurt. Not to say that like, the trans community, the LGBT community.
You genuinely think that if they lost half the
only 2% of the U.S. I think it was like 2.7% of the U.S. population identify as.
Fair enough. But we're talking about people who actually have Netflix, so it's a different.
Sure. I don't know how many users on Netflix identify as within the LGBTQ community, and I'm not like
Well,
against them,
so-
but like
so-
I guarantee you, Netflix has run the numbers, and they're like, announce it.
I mean, to be fair, that probably is true that they did some sort of analytics on this, and we're
Sure,
like,
they've got all of our
this is
data.
the response that we might get, and what is a big enough hit that we can take. That
Yeah,
we know
Netflix
this is-
was like, yo, like how much are we gonna lose? Zuckerberg walked in like, not much. We've got all of their data because Facebook has all of our information, so they know.
Metaverse. Yeah. Anyways, whatever. We're done with it.